Hi, I'm Kyle Cease, and this is a video on December 2025. It's really funny to make these videos and act like a certain time things are going to happen, to be like, hey, it's December and here's what's coming. But if you really think about it, times are different. In other words, 70 years ago, there was not this boom of awakening. People weren't interested in self help in the same way. And even though it can look arbitrary to say December 2025, something different is going to happen, there's actual truth in it. There's a consciousness that's trying to happen. If you think about it, you can picture certain times kind of being certain things. In other words, in the 80s, there was a lot of entrepreneurialism, a lot of big boom stuff. People were excited about success. In fact, millionaires were the goal for a lot of people, or having a lot of buildings or houses or success, or people would picture having a Lamborghini. People were about success. Now, people who are successful are looked at as a very big minority. In fact, maybe 20 years ago, up to 10 years ago, people used to say things like, we are the 99%, and be talking about themselves as separate from rich people. So if we go into the time we're in now, we start to look at different areas of spirituality and self-help. I think of the 2000s as something like where The Secret showed up. And people would start to hear things like, if you change your focus onto what you want, you can make it happen. So people started picturing and making vision boards of themselves as successful or having lots of friends or making money or whatever they wanted. As we moved into 2020, though, there was a different energy that kind of broke apart a lot of the old self help. One of the things that wanted to come through was the opening and the seeing of the negative energies. In other words, a lot of us in the past had pictured what we really wanted, and then we did that kind of burying our dark energy. So people would be like in the 2000s, I want this car, I want this life, I want this success. And under it was an energy that they couldn't quite hear yet that said, and if I don't, then I'm not enough. But that didn't matter in that consciousness. But once we moved to 2020, it was almost as if all the darkness, all the underground, all the stuff you didn't see was ready to be seen. In 2020, we changed our patterns. We stopped doing things the same way. No matter what you felt politically about wearing a mask and staying at home for 2 years, a lot of us went inward. A lot of us were forced to not do things the way that we were used to doing them. A lot of us would go to the store, and instead of being fake and seeing someone and going, hi, oh my God, we had a mask on so we could kind of introvert. People would stay home. People wouldn't be able to just go to a restaurant or travel in the same way. They had to think twice. A lot of things changed in the last 5 years. In the last 5 years, a lot of people who used to hold on to each other broke off. A lot of people lost friends, went through breakups, and it's almost as if the last 5 years was a time where everything that wasn't your highest truth would break apart. As we go into December 2025, one huge shift that I see as coming is the letting go of the idea that there is a way. In other words, there used to be a teaching, even that I've had in the past, that was appropriate for that time, but a lot of self help speakers have different versions of, which is that if it feels higher and more aligned, you move towards it and you let go of the things that feel heavy. The idea that you follow what your highest thing is to let go of the old life. And that's true, but what is trying to happen now is the end of there is a way to the beginning of you're the way. What do I mean by that? Your connection to the now, your source. It could be your higher self, or for some people, the universe, for some people, Jesus. There's all kinds of different higher energies that people connect to, and that's great. But I want you to imagine that right now there's a lot of people going, what if I don't know what my highest way is? What if I don't know which way to go? There's a cool reason for that. That's because you've accessed a consciousness that's higher than a way will get you to your freedom. Many people have followed their highest excitement so much that they've gone to a plane where there's an even deeper truth being exposed. And that's that the me that needs to find a higher way is dying because I've followed enough higher ways, or unconsciously, the real me is opened up to something higher, that now I'm the higher way. And what I mean by that is, imagine that truly there's a you that's not triggered. Truly, there's a you that isn't affected, whether you're rejected by someone, whether people talk crap about you. You're not affected if the vibration of the people in the room are higher or lower energies. If you see someone who's full of trauma, you are just connected to you. And imagine that in the new frequency as we move into this time, December 2025 and beyond, you start to realize it doesn't matter if the energy outside of me is higher or lower, if it's expansive, contracting, if it's positive or negative. My connection is to this now, and I can go into a room of dark energy and still be light. See, this is a big deal because past teachings have been go to the higher frequency and let go of the lower ones. But what if now the reason you're struggling to do that is because you've outgrown that and now you are the higher frequency? Imagine that the one who's so affected by other people's triggers and traumas is a false you, is what you were conditioned to be to protect yourself. And what if now we're moving to a frequency where you've outgrown that, where you are now finally moving to a place where your inner self is much more merged with God than circumstances, where you're not chasing something as much as being the alignment that you are. Imagine that right now you are the light and you are the space, and you could be in any field, any energy, and it not affect you because now source is your light. The now is your light. You are the light, that you are going to be supplied through something beyond circumstances and people's egos. Your supply in this time is not from other people. Your need for approval is not from other people. Now it's you in this now. As we move into December 2025, you might notice it's hard for me to figure out what is a higher thing because you're the higher thing. And everything is more and more okay, and you are no longer looking for a direction as much as you're looking for you. What if in this time you're working on looking for you? And what if it's time for you to be the answer that you've always been looking for? What if you are going to feel a wholeness that is so much more powerful that addictions don't align with it? You lose your need to be seen by others, that you start to feel free, that money doesn't have nearly as much of a high or a trigger as it does, and you start to be the light. You start to be a space that wherever you go, you are a space of compassion. Things don't trigger you as much, not from a denial place that buries the trigger, but because now that the trigger has spent the last 5 years being seen, it's starting to leave. Imagine that you are an embodiment of love because your source and your intake is from God, not other people seeing you. This is a big time, and it might require more of the fall apart of the things that are not in that truth. There might be some more suffering. There might be a part of you that's fighting for a way that would have worked 4 years ago but doesn't work now. And like, why isn't it working? Why isn't this thing getting fixed? Why isn't it? Because you're actually dipping down to find a highest way. What if now December is the end, the slow end of that a way is the answer and the beginning of you are the way? This is really exciting, and this is something, just so you know, that we're going to talk about at our major 2-day event that we have decided to make as a donation-based event. I'm so excited about this event because December 13th and 14th, we are having an event called Out with the Old and In with the Now. You are the now. And the old ways, whether it's positive or negative, are going to be dissolved through the now that you are. Remember that this is a donation-based event. Spend the entire 2 days with us holding a frequency from a higher alignment of the truth of what you are and transcend the idea that a way is the answer, that an addiction is the answer, that other people's approvals are the answer. This is the time where you transcend the idea that money is bigger than you, that there's an answer, that you're a victim, that you're an achiever. You are the now, and it's time to transcend all of that. This is going to be the most incredible way to release the old ways and make room for a powerful 2026 where you are the light, where you are the answer, where you are the freedom. Please make sure you join us at Out with the Old, In with the Now. Again, it's a donation-based event, and we'd love to have as many people there, and we are going to create insane, expansive change. Join us. Don't miss it. December 2025 is going to be the beginning of the truth of what you've always been but never got to experience. I'm so excited to have you. Join us.